This is Drew Estate's Liga Privada number 9. I've never had it, so let's talk about it and give it a try. Welcome to the Cigar Bar. Originally made to be Liga Privada, or private blend, the number 9 was one of many private blend cigars that were created and tested to be kept in-house for Drew Estate's then CEO's personal humidor. Amongst the many blends, number 9 stood out in such a way that it was decided it was far too good to be held back from the public and was released in 2007. More blends from the original test batches were released afterwards, but number 9 continued to be top dog and much sought after. The Liga Privada is made with Honduran and Nicaraguan filler, Brazilian Mata Fina binder, and a much lauded dark Connecticut broadleaf Oscuro wrapper. The wrapper is aged for over 18 months before construction, and only 250 Liga Privada cigars are produced per day by a very select group of rollers, keeping it one of the most exclusive regular production cigars made by Drew Estate. The cigars are also aged for another additional year before release. I tend to read a lot of reviews when prepping for an episode, not for my opinion to be swayed, but to see what stands out about one cigar or another. Through and through, this cigar is certainly loved, but it suffers from the old man syndrome. It's not what it used to be. But we hear that in everything when it comes to restaurants, to bourbon, to wine, so thankfully, I'm happy to have never had this cigar, so I'm excited to try it with a fresh palate and an open mind. Yeah, first impressions right out the gate are lots of cocoa powder, some cedar for sure. It's interesting, I mentioned the reviews. Oh, and sorry about the sun. It's just right there, but it's the best we can do today. I read a lot of reviews and they all said that it's got a lot of smoke. And I was like, I know I've got a cigar channel, but I guess I never considered that some cigars have more smoke than others. I thought, well, that's kind of a weird thing to say. It's got a lot of smoke. Someone tell me why. Why would it have more than another cigar? It will make sense once I know why, but I don't know why, so please tell me. Tell me why. It is a beautiful day in Colorado today, just at the end of March. So we're starting to see spring right around the corner. We still got tons of snow everywhere from a huge snowstorm the other day. But couldn't pass up the chance to sit outside in the sunshine. Almost burned my damn beard off. Yeah, new lighter. Esti DuPont, the butane. It is incredible. And I know that might seem like, oh, well, you're just swayed because the name and this and that. I've had a lot of butane lighters in my day, and all of them suck. For one reason or another, they break, or the flame's too whatever. This flame is a wide flame, and it's fascinating because at first I thought, well, that's going to be kind of strange because it's a flat flame as opposed to like 4 jets or whatever that you usually see that kind of come together in a point. Well, it kind of comes together in a point, but it just creates a really broad, consistent heat that lights the cigar better than I've ever lit a cigar with a blue flame. This one is about $400. I got it around $3, I think, at the end of the day. It's beautiful. It's the most beautiful lighter I own for sure. I only own like 2. I just can't stop looking at it. It's this beautiful mid-century design. I just can't stop looking at it. It's a beautiful mid-century design. I got it at Kirby Allison, who of course is he's my favorite of the cigar people. He's a very fancy boy. He's got a lot of fancy friends, and I like the fanciness. Couldn't tell by my hoodie today. Maybe you could tell by my F1 hat. But I really like Kirby's channel. It's really cool. Covers a lot of things that maybe I'm not that interested in either, but all of his cigar content is fantastic. But back to the cigar. The color of the wrapper, of this squirrel wrapper, is beautiful. It reminds me a lot of, you know, the Connecticut on something like the Tabernacle, which wouldn't, you know, be too far of a leap considering that Nick Melillo had, you know, previously been with Drew Estate at some point in time. But I don't think that they're that similar, but that's just me right now, first impressions. I read some things about, well, I'd rather have a Tabernacle Connecticut broadleaf over this because of the price. Yeah, the Liga Privada number 9 is much more expensive. I mean, not much more. It's $5, you know, per Vitola more maybe than Tabernacle. So it's not that I wouldn't compare them necessarily apples to apples, but there is a particular depth of flavor in this first third that I don't recall. It's been a minute. It's been probably about 3 months since I've had a Tabernacle, the Connecticut. It's been probably about 3 months since I've had one. So maybe we'll do a side-by-side at some point in time. That'd be kind of fun to see if there is some comparison there. But the color on this is like this dark caramel color. The ash is beautiful white. It's just like ivory. It's gorgeous. Really like it so far. Not bad. I'll keep throwing it out there. The cocoa powder aspect of things is pretty impressive. It's just delicious. All right, I'll be back with you all once we're about halfway through. I'm going to clean my golf clubs. All right, so we are into the second third of this Liga Privada number 9. And I gotta say, I'm impressed. I really am. When you smoke something for the first time that's got a lot of hype around it, I tend to go in pretty objectively, though. I was a sommelier for a very long time, so I ran a lot of wine lists, cocktail lists, beer lists, and you're always brought things that have a lot of hype, and you can't blind taste everything. And so when something would come through with hype, I just got used to being able to judge it pretty objectively. And I feel like that's what's happening here. This is a beautiful cigar. There's a ton of dried fruit, like dried cranberries, fig, a little bit of apricot going on. So some really cool fruit flavors. But that nutmeg, walnut, nuttiness thing is there. The chocolate's kind of subsided into the more of the nutty, earthen forest floor flavors. Someone had mentioned something in one of the reviews about the band seeming like it's not the same, like it had been sort of more, felt like a parchment or something at one point. But I like the band. It's very tactilely, it's very pleasant to put one's fingers upon. And that smoke, that abundance of smoke is no joke. It's just smoking so well. I got this in Texas, actually, on a recent trip for work, and they didn't have these at my local humidor at the time. So I'm not sure how old this actual cigar is, but it's been in my humidor for about a month and a half, and I took it out about 3 hours ago, and it is smoking beautifully. Pretty even, not the most even, but that's usually my fault. But the draw is spectacular. I always do a V-cut in my cigars for the most part, and I'm impressed with the draw. It's smooth. The flavors are subtle but prominent. Great cigar so far. Nicely done. Back to the golf clubs. All right, team, we're gonna have to do the last third via voiceover. It got real windy and real gross and real rainy out of nowhere on the outside while I was smoking. So we'll just conclude with a little voiceover. But needless to say, I really loved the Liga Privada number 9. I think it's a fantastic smoke. It's incredibly complex. The draw was perfect. The ash was beautiful. It finished with a lot of baking spice, cedar, a lot of cinnamon and nutmeg, and those sorts of flavors. Even some really dark roasted coffee. There were so many flavors there. If you're a really big fan of those herbal, or I should say herbaceous and spicy flavors, this cigar is definitely for you. Get yourself one of these because I think you're really going to love it. So, well, with that, thank you for visiting the Cigar Bar, and we'll see you on the next one.